What happened at the Tunguska event? Welcome back to another episode of Spooky Hunt, the home of all things scary and hair-raising on YouTube. From the most thought-provoking unsolved mysteries to the creepiest ghosts and ghouls, we have all the spooky content you will ever need. Subscribe to the channel now so you never miss any of our latest and greatest videos. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what happened at the Tunguska event. Let's get to it. June 30th, 1908 was a day to remember. 106 years ago, on this day, a fireball of epic proportions shook the earth. This event caused damage in buildings some 400 miles, 643 kilometers from the blast site. In fact, seismic vibrations were detected 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers from where the fireball struck. Fortunately, the blast originated in the Jenissei portion of the Siberian forest, a remote portion of the earth that is now known as Krasnoyarsk Krai, Russia. Since it struck far from any towns or major metropolitan areas, the damage to human civilization was minimal. One man, who was approximately 20 miles, 30 kilometers from the site, was blown into a tree and killed. Unfortunately, because it was so remote, an expedition didn't reach the site until decades later. When individuals finally reached the epicenter in 1927, they discovered that a large portion of the forest had been leveled. Row after row after row of vegetation was laid flat. This wasteland stretched 10 miles, 16 kilometers from the epicenter. At the epicenter, there was nothing but broken stumps of trees. That's right, there was no crater, only dead trees. This caused a bit of confusion related to what caused this blast. There are two primary hypotheses for what caused the event. The first involves a comet or asteroid containing heavy elements, specifically deuterium, or heavy hydrogen, as it is colloquially termed, smashing into the Earth. This was proposed to have created an atomic explosion over Siberia, which would explain both the leveled trees and the amazingly powerful shockwave. However, such a blast would be expected to leave a carbon-14 residue, thereby allowing the event to be verified by scientists. Ultimately, the absence of sufficient nuclear matter changed this theory from something that was a consideration to something that is extremely unlikely. Consequently, the long-standing belief, the one held by NASA scientists, is that a meteoroid airburst occurred, perhaps similar to the one recently seen in Russia. This involves a high-velocity, high-mass object that generates so much friction as a result of the atmospheric drag that the excessive temperatures cause an uncontrollable expansion of the meteoroid, shattering it explosively. NASA's comments on the process are summed in the following. It is estimated the asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere, traveling at a speed of about 33,500 miles per hour. During its quick plunge, the 220 million pound space rock heated the air surrounding it to 44,500 degrees Fahrenheit. At 7:17 a.m. local Siberia time, at a height of about 28,000 feet, the combination of pressure and heat caused the asteroid to fragment and annihilate itself, producing a fireball and releasing energy equivalent to about 185 Hiroshima bombs. If such an event were to occur today over a major city, the results could be devastating. Fortunately, such events are rare, only occurring once every 100 years or so. Before you start worrying about an asteroid heading our way, remember that a majority of the Earth's surface is covered in water. As such, the chances of a Tunguska event occurring over an area with a high population density are slim. Of course, there are a few hypotheses related to this event that are a bit more unconventional. Some argue that Nikola Tesla created a death ray that misfired and caused the explosion. However, this idea lacks scientific evidence. Similarly, some claim the Earth collided with a mini black hole. Yet, if this were the case, the matter would be missing from the Earth, and the black hole would likely still be consuming the planet. It wouldn't bounce off the surface of the Earth and wander off. That's not how black holes work. 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐸, an 𝐸𝐵𝐾 woman who was closer than 20 miles to epicenter at the time of explosion, later reported the event to the scientist. A mighty wind flattened our tent. While we had been sleeping, a brilliant outburst of light blinded us. The wind was breaking trees like they were sticks. As a rising whirlwind lifted us off the ground, I lost consciousness. After she woke up, she remembers seeking her husband, Ivan, being lifted up by the blast and slammed into one of the remaining upright trees 130 feet from the remnants of the camp they had slept in. He died few hours later from fractures, shock, and blood loss. Our reindeers also vanished, and we haven't found them since, 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐸 also reported. If we can believe shamans of the 𝐦𝐤𝐤 tribe, who lived in the area for thousands of years, Tunguska event was caused by the 𝐦𝐸𝐤𝐷, the god of thunder himself. Dissatisfied by the tribal disputes, 𝐦𝐸𝐷 reputedly sent demons with shining eyes and fiery tails to punish the disobedient 𝐦𝐤𝐤 men. Of course, we can't take this explanation seriously. However, the fact remains that immediately after the event, the area was declared sacred and forbidden zone by 𝐦𝐤𝐤 tribesmen, who then reportedly expelled or killed dozens of Soviet scientific expeditions that ventured into the area of explosion decades after. In year 1956, Russian sci-fi writer Alexander Kassanev published his short novel titled The Explosion, with his own explanation about the true cause of the explosion. According to his version of the story, the Tunguska event was caused by the massive nuclear explosion of an extraterrestrial spaceship. In the year 1945, 11 years before they published the famous story, Jenissei visited the ruins of Hiroshima, devastated by a nuclear explosion. Near the explosion's epicenter, he noticed still standing trees, with their leaves and branches ripped off by the sheer force of pressure wave. 6 years later, during his visit to Tunguska, he noticed similar patterns: no crater and standing trees without any branches or leaves. Because of that, he quickly comes to a conclusion. 1908's event had to be caused by a massive explosion, probably of nuclear origin. Another thing supporting the nuclear explosion theory are the burn marks on all trees around the epicenter. Forest fire caused by meteor explosion would burn the trees all around. However, marks are only on one side that indicate concentrated, short-term radiation heat, as during a nuclear explosion. This hypothesis was further expanded by Valery Uvarov, director of the International UFO Network himself, quoting his works. In northwestern Yakutia in Siberia, in the basin of the upper Voloy River, there is a hard-to-reach area bearing the marks of a tremendous cataclysm that took place some 800 years ago. Distributed across this area are mysterious metal objects loaded deep underground in the permafrost. The last time that this installation shot down a meteor was on 25th of September last year. With that, we've reached the end of today's video all about what happened at the Tunguska event. Get involved and let us know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, make sure to leave a thumbs up so we know to make more for you. Also, subscribe to the channel for even more awesome videos just like this one. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time on Spooky Hut, where we always have tricks and treats for you.